All right, hey guys. So today I'm going to be sharing with you the step-by-step guide to producing a detailed work schedule. So to do this, I'm going to use a typical project that I titled Scheduling Guide for an EPC Project with a project name Installation of a Separator Unit using Primavera P6. So let me explain this a little bit. This is an oil and gas equipment facility that is usually found in oil producing location. So the separator is what separates the oil, the gas, and the water into their individual constituents. So I'm going to be installing a brand new separator unit in the field. Okay. So this is my project, and this project will require engineering, it will require procurement, construction, and installation. Okay. So to move forward with the planning and scheduling, I've produced several slides that I'm going to be walking through, not just showing you what you need to do, but I'll be doing it myself on Primavera P6. And in the process, you'll get to know and understand how to prepare your own detailed schedule. So what am I going to do? Step one, I'm going to define the project details, and that will include opening a new project, creating a project ID, which I already titled SEP-001. SEP is just an abbreviation for separator. Project name is Separator Unit Installation. Responsible organization, I'm going to be selecting a specific EPS that I will be storing my project of Separator Unit Installation under. I'm going to put a start date when I start doing it on Primavera P6. I'm going to show you what I mean by that. And I will be leaving the plan completion date open. I will allow the Primavera P6 to compute the finish date after I've done all the logic sequence and input of estimated duration. All right. The next stage will be to configure the project calendar. I'll be defining the working days. For example, I'll work Monday through Friday, and it will be 8 hours per day. I'm going to add the regular holidays and non-working days. The non-working days in this means Saturday and Sunday, plus holidays in the year. Don't worry about this. The last bullet point, shift for installation work. The next slide will be creating WBS work breakdown structure. And I will use the work breakdown structure to structure all the phases of this project, which will include engineering, procurement, construction, and installation, testing and commissioning, and project closeout. And step four, within the WBSs, I will be adding activity steps and creating a logical sequence. Okay. So the activity steps will include process design and PNID development, structural and piping design, electrical and instrumentation design, issue for construction drawings. All this will be under engineering phase. Okay. Next will be under procurement phase. You know what? Let's back up a little bit. Let me do this so that it will be clearer. All right. So now we have engineering phase WBS. Let me put it this way. Okay. Remember, this project is going to be an EPC, meaning engineering, procurement, and construction. Right. So the engineering is what we just detailed out, the activity steps. So this is typical high level. I will call this level one, okay, or level two, depending who is preparing the schedule. For me, I'm going to call it level one. So someone else, the person might call it level two. But I believe there are so much details that is here to go in when you break down each of these activities. Okay, so the next will be procurement phase WBS. And that will include procurement of separator units, procurement of piping, valves, and instruments, vendor approval and fabrications, and delivery to sites. The next phase will be the construction and installation phase WBS. And that will include site preparations and foundation work, equipment erection, piping and structural installation, electrical and instrumentation installation, and mechanical completion. So now we have captured all the discrete activities that goes under each of the work breakdown structure phases. So let's keep this once. Let me delete this once for now. I'm going to generate a different slide for the next phase of this planning and scheduling training. All right. So once you have put all the WBSs for the engineering, procurement, and construction, then we'll come to the end of this basic training. All right. So let's go over to Primavera P6 and implement everything that we have talked about from the beginning of the slide. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and create a project. So the first step in starting your scheduling for any project is to create a project under an EPC. And what is an EPC? EPC simply means Enterprise Project Structure. It's like organizing books in the library. Let all the art books be in the art section of the library, all the science book be in the science section of the library. And the benefit of that is that when you come into the library, you don't need to start ransacking the entire library to find a science book. You simply go to the science section of the library and pick the book. The same way in Primavera, when you have different project types, you have to organize them um, in terms of enterprise. In this in this case, we have a couple of enterprises already built in. Okay, just watch everything that I'm doing to help you learn how to use Primavera P6. So I right click, go all the way down. It says collapse all. When I click on collapse all, it collapses all the enterprise project structure here. Now I can gradually open one step at a time. So we have EPCs that are default with Primavera P6. You have the ENC, which is engineering and construction. We have manufacturing. I'm going to hold this and drag it open to see the text. Okay. You have the product development, corporate program, information technology, and energy services. All right. So because the project I want to create is an engineering and construction project, let me save this project under E and C EPS. So the first thing you want to do, go all the way to the top, click on File, click on Open. No, sorry, click New because you want to create a new project. It asks you to select an EPC. So I select my EPC, which is engineering and construction. I hold this and drag it to open fully. Go all the way to the right-hand corner. Click on the select button. The select EPS has changed from all initiatives to engineering and construction. Click on next. The project ID we gave this project at the beginning is SEP-001. The project name is Engineering, Procurement, and Construction of Crude Oil Separator. Click on Next, select Start Date. I want this project to start on the 5th of May by 8 a.m. Keep the must finish day blank, but if your project has a must finish date, then you can click the three dots button and select the must finish date. But for this project, I would like to have the Primavera to calculate automatically what the finish date will be when I've estimated my durations. I also have put in the logic sequence. So with that said, click on next. Responsible manager will be engineering and construction responsible manager. Click on next. Keep the rate type standard. I'm going to explain this in phase 2 of this training. Click on next. Congratulations, you've created your project. Finished. So my question to you, where do you think the project I just created will be? Which EPS will it be within? Correct. You got it right. It will be within engineering and construction. So let's open up this EPS and find our project. To open it up, go all the way to the left hand on the band, click on the plus sign, and voila, it opens. All right. So our project is created and it's actually the first within the EPS. All right. The next thing will be to open up the project. But before you open up the project, let's go all the way to the bottom of our project window to check out some of the tabs. You have the general tab, which gives you the basic information about the project that is selected. Watch when I select City Center Office Building Addition, the whole information changes. And what does that tell you? It tells you that every information that you are currently seeing is on the project that is currently selected. So back to engineering, procurement, and construction of crude oil separator. So these are all the general information about my project. Notebook, budget log, spending plan, budget summary, dates. So let's pause a little bit. This information is similar to the information that we put at the beginning of us creating the project, which we say the plan start date will be on the May 5th by 8 a.m. The data date will be the same with the planned start date of the project. So we keep everything this way. Look here, the must finish date is still blank, which is good. Funding, codes, defaults. Now let's pause a little bit again. The duration type is fixed duration and units. There are other duration types. I'm going to explain this in a different video, but let's keep this as fixed duration and unit. Percentage complete type, you have duration, physical, and unit. I want to calculate my percentage complete type by unit. So I'm going to select unit. I'm going to keep activity type as task dependent. I don't have any cost account currently, but when we go to phase 2 of this training, I will show you more about cost. Then we will discuss cost accountant. Calendar, select the kind of calendar you want to utilize throughout the project execution. So you have the 5 by 10 calendar. What this means is that you will be working 5 days in the week and 10 hours per day. So the first number is duration. The second number is the hours per day. Some of the calendars have already been named. Okay, for example, corporate standard full-time calendar. I will assume that this standard full-time corporate calendar is 5 days per week, which is Monday through Friday, right? And 8 hours per day with standard holidays in the year. So let me keep that selected. There is nothing else you want to change at this point in time. Activity ID prefix, not really necessary at this point in time because we are still learning the basic. Okay. Resources, let's keep it this way. Settings, let's keep it this way. Calculation, let's keep everything this way. Again, watch what I'm doing. Make sure you're following my mouse because there are certain things I may not say that could simply just do. But listening to me and watching my mouse, playing back some some timelines will help you to understand how to utilize Primavera P6 even faster. Okay. So we have looked at all the tabs at the bottom toolbar. This is called the bottom toolbar. This is the top toolbar. Okay. All right. So right click on the project. It opens up this dialog box. The first item in this dialog box is open project. Now it wants us to open this project that is currently selected. Once I click on open project, it takes me from project window to activity window. So you can see we have two windows here. We have two tabs here. One is project window. The other one is activity window. Now, under the activity window is where you create all your activities. But before we start creating activities, we want to create WBSs, work breakdown structure. We want to organize all our activities in a way that is in phases. Because when you want to execute projects, you don't just start doing anything. You have to organize. The first thing you do is to do the engineering. With the engineering information, you go to procurement. From procurement of materials and equipment, you go to construction. From construction, you go to commissioning. And that is the typical flow of activities. All right. So we don't just start throwing activities. Otherwise, it will look like Excel spreadsheets whereby you have list of items in different rows. But we want to organize all the project activities into WBSs. So again, we have the project window where we created our project. We have the activity window where we are going to create our activities for this project. But before we do that, let's create WBS, work breakdown structure. To do that, go all the way to the left-hand side. This is the directory section, the directory toolbar, and this is the command toolbar. The reason it's called the command toolbar is you are commanding it to add, you are commanding it to delete, you are commanding cut, you are commanding copy, you are commanding paste. Directory is direct me to projects, direct me to resources, direct me to reports, direct me to tracking, direct me to activities, direct me to additional activity view, direct me to WBS. Oh, okay. So we have WBS. All right. So let's click on it. So you see directory toolbar, command toolbar, directory toolbar, command toolbar, bottom toolbar, top toolbar. All right. So let's go to WBS. The moment I click on the WBS, it creates the third tab at the top. Now you have the project window, you have the WBS window, you have the activity window. All right, cool. Let's go back to our WBS window. But before we start anything, let me make sure that the recording is going on very well. Thank you. All right, so moving on, we are in WBS Windows. Okay, so how do we create our WBS? Remember, directory, command, we have directed ourselves to WBS. Now let's command the tool to create WBS. So we go all the way to the right hand side. At the top, you see add. When you are in WBS window and you go to command tab and you see add and you click it, what you are simply doing is adding WBS. Now we have created the first WBS and we name it engineering. Okay, we name it engineering. So you see the hierarchy tree. You have the SEP-001 and you see this ring SEP-001.1. I believe you are familiar with this, right? It means that this is a child of this. Now we want to create more children of engineering, procurement, and construction. Okay, so what do? You move from selecting engineering to selecting engineering, procurement, and commissioning of crude oil separator. That's where you will place your mouse selection and add another one. Now, when you add a new WBS, see what happens. Let's label this first, procurement, before I explain it. Procurement. So you see, you have point 1 and point 2, okay? If you had selected this and created a WBS, it's going to create a child WBS under engineering, and that's not what we want. We want engineering, procurement, and construction of crude oil separator sub WBS. So these are sub of this. So engineering is sub of EPC crude oil separator. Procurement is a sub of EPC crude oil separator. So let's create more subs. Okay. Again, place your mouse pointer on the on the on the EPC crude oil separator and create more. I'm going to be a little bit faster at this point. Construction. All right. So now we have our EPC structure all defined. Now let's go over to the activity window and see what it looks like. Okay, sweet. So all the WBS you created are all listed in the activity window. Remember, this is activity window. You can only create activity, but you cannot create WBS under activity window. If you want to create or edit a WBS, go back to the WBS window and do the addition or editing. You cannot do that here. For example, let's say you want to edit engineering. Maybe you want to add S. See, I'm double clicking multiple times, but it is not selecting. Okay. But if I go to WBS window and do that, it will go. Well, let me delete the S. All right. Back to activity window. All right. So at this point in time, we have succeeded in creating WBS. We have also succeeded in understanding how to open each of the windows. All right. Cool. So what do we do next? Let's start adding activities. Again, go all the way to command directory to command section. All right. So if I say I want to add an engineering activity, all I need to do is to create or add. Once I do that, it creates an activity. So you see the difference. This is editable. Okay. You can edit this number ID. Okay. So what are the engineering activities we said we should have from our slide? Let's check it out. So I will add it here. Okay. I will also add more activity lines. Next engineering activity will be structural and piping design. So these are typical high level. So let's say I want to add steps for each of these engineering activities. I'm going to explain it in another video. But what we are doing is high level scheduling. Okay, to make it very simple for you. In the next video, we're going to go even into more a little bit complex scheduling, whereby we want to break down each of these activities into discrete steps. And when you want to do that, this activity, process design and P&ID development, becomes a sub WBS under engineering. And to do that, go to WBS and select engineering and add whatever it should be. All right, so process, design, and PNID. This is just an example. I'm going to delete it when I'm done. Okay. So now I've created a WBS under engineering. So you have 1.1.1, which is process design and PNID development. That is, if you want to have discrete activities under process design and PNID development. Okay. So go back to activity window. Now you see that you've created a yellow band, which is a sub engineering WBS. Okay. So instead of having this as an activity, but because you want to break it down to further discrete activities, you make this a WBS so that you can add its component activities. Okay, so I'm going to delete this. Okay, you didn't see what I did. So select new activity, go to the command section, click delete. Are you sure you want to delete the selected activity? Yes, I want to delete it. It goes away. You cannot delete the WBS here. All right, so what do? You go to WBS window, select that particular WBS you want to delete, go all the way to the command and click delete. Again, just watch what I'm doing. I'll try my best to explain every step, but in case I don't explain everything, just watch where my mouse is going. Play it back to get more detail or to understand it even better. So I've deleted all that I did. Okay, going back to activity window. So we have these two activities. So the next activity we have in our slide, to add it, go to the far right, the command section, add another activity line. Okay. The next engineering activity is electrical and instrumentation design. So I copied it and I pasted it here. See how smooth, how easy it is. To add additional activity, what do? Correct. Go all the way to the command section, add another activity. Issue drawings for construction. All right. Sweet. All right, so we have all our engineering activities. Okay. Now let's add procurement activities. Observe something. There is a 5-day default. There's a 5-day default duration. We are going to estimate the duration for each of these activities. But first of all, let's continue adding our activities. Still on procurement. Go to the command section, add activity line. So we have 4 procurement activities. The first one is procurement of separator units. All right. Another activity step. I'm going to be a little bit fast because you already got the drill. So I finished listing all the procurement activity. Next will be to list all the construction activities. The same step. Add. All right. So now we have WBS, we have activities, but we don't have duration, we don't have start date, we don't have finish date, we don't have relationship. So in our next video, we're going to estimate all the duration for each of these activities. Next will be to establish logic sequence between each of these activities to the next. All right. If you have any question that you want to ask, if there's something that you still don't understand, please use the QR code to ask those questions. And if you want a one-on-one training, also use the QR code to set up a schedule. 2 hours training, you will understand the basics of Primavera P6. And I'm going to be using typical projects in helping you to understand how to use Primavera P6. All right. And finally, if you have any project that you want to plan and schedule, and it's a short-term project or even a long-term project, still use the QR code to get in touch with me to help you develop a detailed work schedule for your project. If you want me to train your colleagues, if you want me to train your workforce, please set up a meeting with me using the same QR code. All right. Thank you very much, and I appreciate